It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.org.
The award-winning It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
I'm Hope Madden.
This is It's Movie Time. And Hope, the film coming out soon is Lion.
It is.
Is this another Disney film?
No, it isn't. Although it is a lovely, true story that is pretty family-oriented.
Okay.
It's about a little boy, a 5-year-old boy, who falls asleep, kind of helping his brother raid empty train stations of anything people may have dropped.
Right.
And he falls asleep in a train, and by the time he gets off, he's been on the train for a couple of days. He's thousands of miles from home in a bus station in Calcutta.
Right. And this is the Indian rail system. And apparently trying to go back 20 years later to find your home,
right,
relative to some railway station is not a small matter.
No. It's a harrowing story. You know, and it's the sort of tension of it, I think, is aided by how impossibly cute that little boy is.
Yeah, he is good, isn't he?
He is wonderful, and just the masses of people in the train station in Calcutta when he tries to wander about and he doesn't speak the language. It's actually quite devastating.
Yeah.
And I was impressed. I was impressed by the restraint, I think, actually, in showing the film. I think I expected something a little more heavy-handed. And there's a lot that goes on, and you're just asking yourself, well, did that just happen? And they don't dive into a lot of it. And I think the film is better for that.
I think you're right. And in fact, it's interesting to see Dev Patel as the older kid.
Yeah.
Perform in a kind of lower key way than he has been.
Agreed.
With Slumdog and then with the hotels, he has been kind of upper register, almost silly.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And he tends to play this painfully earnest. Yes. You know, and to be honest, until this film, I can't say I was a big Dev Patel fan.
Not at all.
And I think that he does a really nice job in this film. Because there's a lot of emotion to register, and what happens, the little boy eventually is adopted by an Australian couple, and in Australia he grows up in a loving family with, you know, a lot of opportunities, and eventually he can't bear the idea of what his birth mother and brother must have gone through and must still go through. But there's he's concerned about what his adoptive mother, played by Nicole Kidman, what it would do to her if he were to go look for them, and it's, as you said, it's very, very difficult to do, so it takes him decades to decide to do it, and really that's the bulk of the film, is him as an adult struggling with trying to find them and trying not to let his parents know that he's trying to find them, and just living with the pain of knowing what his mother must go through.
And you mentioned Nicole Kidman. And first of all, why anybody would want to leave Nicole Kidman as your mother is questionable. But I thought her role as the adopting mother was terrific.
I agree. She is usually so strong in films, and it's interesting to see her take more supporting roles.
Yeah.
In the last few years, and she does. There are certain actors who are generous enough in their performances that they really bolster the performances around her. And I felt like Dev Patel benefited a great deal from her skill.
Good point. Yeah, good. They are really terrific together.
They are.
I think as a pair, I've rarely seen anything quite as moving as those two together. She's underused.
Yeah, she doesn't get as much screen time as maybe she should have. Yeah. And I feel like the romance... Rooney Mara, another great talent.
Yes.
Plays his girlfriend,
yeah.
His college and adult girlfriend. And I feel like maybe there was more time spent there than necessary.
And you are right. My thoughts. Again, another waste of Rooney, because she's capable of far more depth and more interest, but she's just playing kind of a stereotypical role of the waiting girlfriend.
Right. Although I thought it was interesting, early on during the sort of flirtation stage of their relationship, I don't think I've ever seen Rooney Mara play, I don't think I've ever seen her smile. I've never seen her play anything that was
That's
in
good,
any
yeah.
way lighthearted. So there's a scene where the two of them are walking across the street from each other, sort of mirroring each other's walk, and it was just nice to see her be
cute,
somewhat whimsical.
It really was cute, and even though I think the film doesn't give you enough about their relationship.
Right, agreed.
Now, for me, after a while, his tension, his almost being debilitated by these thoughts about his home and getting home, really wore on me. I guess maybe they did the job, because he felt so deeply that he was neutralized. He even left, I think, he was learning how to be a hotel manager.
Right, right. Yeah, he
And-
quit his job. They do mention that at one point. He
Yeah.
quit his job.
And really his relationship with her
Mm-hmm.
suffered. And after a while, I was, oh my gosh, you know, this guy's got to get over this. With that, I'm a bit cold-hearted, but then I realized he really, you know, he left his mother and brother,
Right.
and he needs to bring that together.
Right, and I think you know, it's set up in a pretty believable way, because he probably did at the time. He felt guilty. It was his fault. Of course, he was a 5-year-old.
I know,
You know,
right?
so of course it's not your fault. But I imagine he can't get over that, and I could see that it would haunt you to put yourself in, especially your own mother's
Yes.
place, that she has no idea what happened to her baby. And then when he does return home, you know, you can also feel with him the idea that it's been 25 years. What makes you think they'll still be there? And his mother couldn't read or write, and they were poor, so it's not like they have phones. It's not like they have,
Right.
you know. And I mean, I did feel like so often when you watch a film like this, the obstacles feel like you could probably, come on, you know.
Yeah.
And in this case, I didn't think so. The obstacles to his finding his family still felt really almost insurmountable.
And you know, I think you're making me think that one of the rationales for all of that gloominess on him is that he has left, albeit a couple of decades ago, he has left a family that's so poor, you don't know what their future might have been. Had they been, now juxtapose that with the wealthy couple in Australia.
Sure.
And if you grow up knowing that, that probably is even starker to realize that he left his poor mother and brother back there, and good Lord, what happened to them?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because you know he grows up. The whole thing turns in one scene at like a college party, when you know it really kind of, for the first time, he can see, I think, the privilege that he grew up in, and
Yes.
that's where I think it hits him what he left behind, and that he does remember them. And what I think is an interesting turn is later on, he has another great scene with Nicole Kidman, where he realizes he doesn't really understand that situation particularly either. There's a lot more depth than he's giving anybody credit for, and he just holds all of this guilt with both of his mother figures. He just possesses
Right.
this just debilitating guilt.
I know, the poor, caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, the poor guy. And also, I do like the kind of parallel actions here, or the juxtaposition, as some would call it, of the two worlds, the two different worlds, and his not being able to identify strongly with either one.
Right.
So I begin to realize why there's so much, what I think is gloom, and why he is so obsessed about being able to get back there. But I kind of do understand it, given how Garth Davis and the rest of the crew here have framed it, so that you can see the two worlds and you can see him trying to negotiate either one.
Right.
And especially since what a great luck to have Kidman as his mother.
Yeah.
In that situation, they're quite wealthy, so it's like he's privileged from the get-go, but he still can't keep it out of his mind. So it's a pretty neat movie. It's called Lion. Hope Madden, what grade would you award this film?
I think I would give it a B.
Oh, how do you like that? So am I.